So I just had a sort of epic fail moment that turned out to be quite alright. So I got off of work and I headed home. I got all the way home. I live maybe 20, 25 minutes from work. Got all the way to my house, walking up to my front door, only to realize that I left my house keys at work. I have, like, on here is just my bike key. I keep my bike key separate from my house keys because I don't want it scratching up all the paint on here. I don't need keys, like, fumbling around all over the place. So I had one of those moments where I was like patting my pockets down to realize, shit, I left my keys at work. So I was pretty upset because I'm about 25 minutes away. It's not like I'm, 2 minutes away. It's not the end of the world. I also had to fill up gas in the bike because I was almost empty. And then I had to ride all the way back. And mind you, it's kind of late. I was really hungry. I wanted dinner. So I was looking forward to getting home because I was going to make myself something to eat. And, just kind of sit down and relax and enjoy the rest of my evening. Instead, I had to drive my stupid ass all the way back to work just to go get my house keys. So by the time I got to work, I was, like, starving at this point. I mean, I was just dying. So I decided, you know what, I'm gonna go right around the corner from where my job is, within walking distance. There's a Panera Bread. And so I was like, you know what, I'm just going to go to Panera Bread real quick. I'm going to get a little bit of something to eat there, and that way I don't have to cook anything late at home and just kind of go home and call it a night. Seemed like a good idea. A sidetrack from this story, Panera Bread, you are a bloody ripoff. I don't know how on earth you guys get away with charging such high prices for these toddler-sized portions. If you get their pick two, which you can do like a sandwich and a soup or whatnot, I mean, the soup is fairly decent. It's tasty and it's a reasonable size, I would imagine. It's a cup. But the sandwich, it's just minuscule. It's so small. So I always end up having to just order a full sandwich and a side of soup, which is exactly what I did this time. And so for a full sandwich and a side of soup and a drink, I'm looking at $15 at Panera Bread. It's a goddamn sandwich. The fuck am I paying $15 for a sandwich? Anywho, I digress. So I pay my, $3.2 million for my sandwich and soup. And I sit down and I start eating. I eat half of my sandwich. I eat my soup. And this dude walks in. And around the area of my job, I've seen this guy before. He's a homeless guy. And as it turns out, he also has Parkinson's. He's a really nice guy. I've seen him around. I've never really been able to stop and give him money because usually I'm on the bike or I'm driving by or something. I'm not really stopped by him. So this was the first time that I had actually been right by him. And he came in and he sat down at a table nearby me. And he kind of spilled coins all over the table, all the change that he had got from, asking people for money. And, he carefully counted the money and then went up to the counter and ordered, it looked like a green tea, I want to say, or something to that effect. Water. It was really clear, but it had a slight greenish hue, so I want to say it's green tea. So he ordered something to drink, and that was it. He got back to his table, and that's all he had was just the green tea. And so here I am, bitching and moaning over my $15 that I got to spend on this fucking sandwich and soup. And here this guy is, coming in homeless with Parkinson's, scrounging up change just to order something to drink. And then it put things into perspective for me that, You know, I should be lucky that I'm able to bitch about the fact that I'm paying $15 for a sandwich and soup. You know, that I'm fortunate enough to have the money to be able to bitch about that. So I had the other half of my sandwich, and I told the guy, I was like, hey, buddy, you know, do you want the other half of my sandwich? And his face lit up with, like, sheer happiness. And he's like, oh, thank you, man. I was so hungry. And I was like, yeah, man, no problem. Absolutely. God bless, you know. There you go. And he started scarfing it down real quick. He's like, oh, man, that's a really good sandwich. I was like, yeah, it really was. It was tasty. Didn't want to tell him how much it was, but, yeah, it was tasty. And for once in Miami, it's actually a little bit of a chilly night. So I know the guy has got to be out there. You know, he's homeless. He's going to be out there somewhere sleeping in the cold. So I also went up and I bought him a cup of soup. And I was like, here you go, man. Hopefully that keeps you warm. And he was like, his face lit up even more than before. He was like, oh my God, thank you so much. He was so grateful. Because the guy really was hungry. And just kind of wanted to get out of the cold. So what turned out to be a real shitty, you know, experience that I had forgot my keys and had to go all the way back to work. It was almost like that was kind of meant to be, that I was meant to be there to help this guy in his moment of need. You know, that I was fortunate enough to be there to help him out. Man. It's really my pleasure to do that type of thing. So what started off as a shitty experience ended up with me feeling pretty good about myself, knowing that I did something good for mankind and for, you know, for another human being, for another person. Because, I mean, I don't know where my future will end up. I mean, I'm not like I'm struggling or anything. I make pretty good money and, you know, I do well for myself. But you never know what holds, you know, what's in the cards for you. I mean, anything can happen at a moment's notice, and anybody is just as likely to be homeless as the next person. So I take a lot of that into consideration when I see people that are homeless and, you know, they're just hanging around trying to get something to eat. You know, they're just trying to live. There's no need to make them feel like they're substandard humans. They're human beings. They're people. They have feelings. So hopefully, if you guys see this, the next time you see somebody and maybe they ask you for a little bit of pocket change, or maybe they ask you for, you know, hey, can you buy me a bag of chips or something, man? I'm really hungry, or a slice of pizza. Maybe it'll strike something in your heart. You'll say, you know what? Yes, I got some spare change for you, or yes, I could buy you a slice of pizza. Because at the end of the day, what is that really costing you? I mean, it's not a whole lot. And I understand the argument about, you know, well, a lot of these guys, you give them money and they use it to buy booze and drugs. And yeah, well, that might be true for some of them. It's not true for all of them. So try not to be judgmental. And do something good for another human being. I promise you'll feel great about yourself afterwards. And I hope you guys think of me the next time that happens. Alright guys, well I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll catch you on the next one.